Hello and welcome back to the YouTube channel. Welcome back to another video. Welcome back to the GVO show. I am joined by Rag and Bone Man. No, forgive him. He's only human after all. We're joined again by fucking hell, man. Rag and Bone Man's link will be in the time where you can go and subscribe to him.
Fuck you, bro. Fuck you, bro.
Oh my days! Oh, fam. Your bald head must have been red after that game on the other day, fam.
Oh no, I did this yesterday.
Oh, fucking hell. Jesus
I did this
Christ.
before United Liverpool.
Anyway, I'll be linked to in the title, people. Make sure to go and subscribe to him. Doing YouTube now, match reactions, match reviews, all that you can find on his channel, all to do with Arsenal and stuff like that as well. Make sure to like the video, people, as well. The GVO Mikes on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, and subscribe if you're new. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers as soon as possible. And let's get straight into the show. Obviously, neither of our teams won after last week, where both of our teams won 2-0. I think there are positives to probably take from both sides, but obviously, as always, start with you. 1-1 against Brighton. Talk me through it, man. Talk me through it.
Where do I start? It started as a brilliant game. We were on the front foot for the majority. Made a couple of decent chances. Kai Havertz scoring just before half time. And then obviously it all kicked off about 5 minutes into the second half when Declan Rice got the red card.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm going to give my brief opinion. Now, the yellow card offence for kicking a ball away is fair. However, every fan base wants in this country is consistency. And this is where I sympathise. João Pedro kicked the ball out earlier. And the reason why I don't think this was given as a yellow card is because the problem I have is that they only give things for kicking the ball away when they're about to start a quick free kick, rather than when the ball goes out and the man's kicking the ball away as well. They are just as much as delaying the play as when someone else is taking a quick free kick, which is where the whole rule in general lacks consistency. Now, by the rule, Rice got a yellow card, cool, whatever, but João Pedro should be on a yellow. And the difference is as well, for example, with Declan Rice, if we're looking at it just from his perspective, big up to Hano as always, bro. When Rice is already on the yellow from that terrible first challenge, you shouldn't kick the ball away because you're on a yellow. You should still think in your head and take responsibility for that. But however, all we want is just consistency. I think that if you're looking at this incident in isolation, cool, yellow card. If you're looking at it in general, just be consistent. And it's not even just in that game, it's every game. I feel like when the referees bring the new rules in, this is why I don't even talk about refereeing on this channel, is when they bring the new rules in, they're like, we're going to let the play go a lot more, or they're going to be like, okay, we're going to change this rule, do all that. So you give them like 6 game weeks, and then they're back to type. They forget that they've made this new rule, and they're back to the normal refereeing. That's why I have my problem with it. But I think when you go into a game now and you're about to watch your team, and this goes for any fan of any English club throughout the leagues, throughout the pyramid, what do you expect? By now, we've watched football for years. Me and you have watched football over 10 years, and even more. When have we ever had a good referee? We grew up in Howard Webb, bro. We grew up in Howard Webb throughout all of this. So we've seen Mike Dean, Mark Clattenburg,
Graham Poll.
Yeah. Chris Kavanagh now. We've got Kevin Friend and all these shit refs.
Anthony Taylor.
All shit. Anthony Taylor is one of the worst. Like, they're all shit. There's not one good ref. And the problem is that if you look at every club, you can dissect every club and be like, they've been robbed there about 5 times. And the fact that every team that has played in the Premier League, Championship, League One, League Two, have been robbed, is saying how bad the referees are. That just proves how bad the referees are. But Alfie, even though you had 10 men, don't you think you could have finished some chances a bit? Because you had a couple chances where you still could have
Yeah, we had a couple of chances. I think the most notable one was where Saka had a little poke, didn't get enough power on the shot, and it went straight into the goalkeeper's hands. But I feel like as soon as the red card happened, you just knew that we was going to be under pressure. It always happens when a team goes down to 10 men. And I feel like we were lucky to get a point. I mean, we can't. I'm going to sit here and say it wasn't a red card. It was a terrible decision. I'm not the only one that thinks that. The likes of Mark Goldbridge have said it was a shit decision. John Terry said it as well.
using bad examples. Using terrible examples.
I'm just using the names that I've seen.
Yeah, I know, but Mark Goldbridge also said that Jared Bowen was one of the worst players of last season, so I don't take his opinion seriously.
Well, I mean, he's a United fan, so he said that United were going to win 2-1, and we all know what happened.
Oh yeah, we'll come to that. We'll definitely come to that later on in this stream for sure. But the problem is that he's given a second yellow because he kicked the ball away. Like if you kick the ball away, you get a yellow. But the problem is consistency. If the isolated decision is the right decision, but just give João Pedro the yellow card. That's my thing. If you're going to give that a yellow, give João Pedro a yellow. Simple as that for me. And I think those should be given as yellows, but you have to give them every time.
Yeah.
Every time. But we know that these refs won't do that. That's why even when I'm watching West Ham, for example, I know that we're going to get a shit ref. Whether the decisions go for us, against us, it doesn't matter for me. I don't care. And I just don't rise to it. I don't rise to it because I know, let me just move on. Because there's always a chance in the game where you either can avoid conceding the goals, score more goals, and do better. And I learned that from a couple of years ago when we were robbed at Chelsea's ground a couple of years ago, where Maxwell Cornet got the disallowed goal after Mendy was fouled by Bowen. And I was really pissed off after that game. And I was like 2 years ago or whatever. And after that, I was like, fuck that. I don't care anymore. I don't care about referee decisions anymore because we're going to come up against this all the time as Premier League fans. You see in Serie A, La Liga, all that, Bundesliga, you don't hear like on Twitter, Instagram, where you see the bad decisions being made and it goes viral. It only happens in this league. Only happens in this league. And it's meant to be the best league in the world, which in terms of quality, I don't even think it's been that for a while. But in terms of the actual like games itself, it's like advertised the best leagues in the world. And you've got these referees in charge. So why don't we just get the best refs in charge for the best league in the world?
I mean, you've got referees taking charge of games in the biggest international competitions. I just don't see why we can't have those referees for Premier League games.
Yeah, true. Obviously, like with the game itself, do you take it to heart in terms of the result? How do you take it before this stage of the season? You're into the international break now. You've got 7 points. What do you make of it?
I mean, there are positives and there are negatives that you can take from the situation. Obviously, the main positive is we haven't lost yet, which is always a massive confidence boost not to lose a game. But at the same time, we feel like that was a game we should have been getting something out of. And we didn't really get much out of it after the red card. I think you knew that was going to happen. But I guess we'll just have to take it on the chin. Rice is going to be banned for the North London derby. I don't know how we're going to do at Tottenham's ground without Declan Rice because he's a quality midfielder. I feel like we might struggle in the middle of the park. Obviously, they've got players like Basuma that's on form at the moment. Yes, he had a poor performance against Newcastle. In fact, the whole Spurs team did, but I just don't know, man.
Yeah, fair enough. Like, obviously, before the game, we obviously had transfer deadline day. We had the whole transfer window as well. You signed Raheem Sterling. What do you make of that overall? And what do you make of your window overall now it's ended?
Well, I did a review on Sunday of Arsenal's transfer business over the summer. The one thing that didn't make sense to me is we're looking for a striker. We need a clinical finisher, yet we go and sell one of our strikers to Crystal Palace. Yes, he wasn't
no replacement.
He wasn't top quality, but that's another attacker that we haven't got.
Yeah, that makes sense as well. Like I remember we were discussing that last stream actually as well. Like
Hmm.
when obviously the rumors of Enquiries happened, I think at that time Nottingham Forest hadn't been projected, and then they directed their views towards Santiago Jimenez. They didn't get him either, but then Crystal Palace came after him and paid actual money for Nketiah for whatever reason. And then you're looking at that and you think, okay, you got Nketiah, Havertz, and Jesus as your nines options. Obviously, Trossard can play there, but then you lose one of them, and then you sign another left winger who's probably going to play on the left because Saka ain't getting benched anytime soon because Saka ain't even getting rested for 20 minutes by Arteta anytime soon. So you've got three left wingers, two number nines who are not number nines, and a right winger, and then Reece Nelson's gone as well. They replace him. Fabio Vieira never played, but he's another body that's gone. Smith Rowe is another body that's gone. Even though Marino came in, he's now injured for 2 months as well. We'll come on to that after, I guess. But what would you rank out of 10 then? You obviously address the defender, midfielder, and attacker, but missing a striker as well. Like, what do you make of it overall?
I think out of 10, I'd probably give our transfer window maybe a 5 or a 6. I don't think. I think the only way you could rate it higher than that is if we went and did the business that was required, and that was getting a striker, which we haven't done. Obviously, you had the likes of, we were interested in Ivan Toney for quite a while, and all of a sudden he's buggered off to Saudi. I don't understand why we pulled out. He would have been a quality player in the team.
Yeah.
I don't know about anyone else, but I actually don't mind the signing of Raheem Sterling. Simply because you're looking at a player who's got 10 plus years of Premier League experience. He knows what it's like to go all the way in a title race. He is a very good player. Yes, he's not really shown that in a Chelsea shirt, but then again, we've bought Chelsea's outcasts before, and look how they've turned out.
Yeah. Also, it's a loan. I don't know whether there is an option to buy. Do you know if there's an option to buy?
No, there isn't.
It's just a straight loan.
I feel like that was the best possible option as well. A loan without an option to buy, paying only 50% of his wages. I feel like it's a good deal all round.
Okay. Well, yeah, Joe, it is with Sterling is that I prefer him off the right for me purely because he's going direct. He's already on his strong foot and he just makes quicker decisions.
Yeah.
And I think, let's say something happens to Saka, you got an option. You can just move around. Like, even if Sterling started already, you bring Trossard on or you shift Sterling to the right. I think it's obviously better than what you have. I think it's better than what you have for sure because we saw Trossard on the weekend. He didn't start great, but he came off the bench, did well against Villa. So coming off the bench may be more his role. But Martinelli against Villa, he didn't start great. We don't know what he's really going to be like coming off the bench. Has an impact sub on a regular because Trossard doesn't really get a run of games. I think Arteta maybe prefers Martinelli as a starter, but then to bring Trossard off the bench. But obviously, Trossard's always going to prove people wrong. And I'm going to use Trossard as an example for another footballer when we're talking about another team. But obviously, I think Sterling would be the perfect signing if, for example, you had all the pieces that you needed already. Like, obviously, you guys needed a winger. But let's say you had a striker. Sterling benefits of a proper number 9. Like, you know, when Aguero was there at City, they had Sane and Sterling like beside them, and it was just they worked perfectly because all three of them just put together. They just worked off each other's strengths. I feel like if you had that striker, it would have made so much more of the Sterling signing. Like, he's going to give fullbacks hell at times anyway. He's going to give you one of the performances where he gives you a masterclass or a 0 out of 10. That's what we've seen of Sterling over the past few years. What would you rank your window overall?
As I said, I'd probably either a 5 or a 6 out of
10. Yeah. But what needed to be addressed? Just striker or?
Definitely a striker. Maybe even a backup goalkeeper. A lot of Arsenal fans had an inkling that Ramsdale was going to leave in the summer. Obviously, he's gone to Southampton now. But I don't get it. I think he's got a fetish for relegation battles. So I don't know whether Neto is going to really offer much. Obviously, he's aging quite a bit, and usually with a number 2 goalkeeper, you expect him to play in the cup games. But now Neto's cup tied because he played against you. So what do we do with him?
He's just there.
Yeah.
There for numbers. The thing is, you have to hope that nothing happens to Raya. Because if Neto plays, oh my days, it's like night and day. Like because way Arsenal play, the goalkeepers are used for distribution, and also you need someone that's gonna come out and collect crosses. He could do
Yeah.
neither of those things. That's why Bournemouth fans wanted. That's why Bournemouth fans wanted the keeper. Now they got Kepa for whatever reason. I don't know why. Whatever, like maybe Kepa's going to do better than Neto. I don't know, but it didn't really seem like a good signing from my opinion. But signing Neto was weird. It was just like, okay, we can't get this Spanish keeper that we wanted to trigger the release clause for, or that they wanted to trigger the release clause for. So we get Neto. Like it just seems like Edu just like it's just he's Brazilian. That's what it feels like to me. You have a Brazilian connection. Like, because that's what happened with that Marquinhos guy that we were talking about a couple of weeks ago. About where the fuck is he now? Where the fuck is that guy now? He just cried, scored, and left.
Yeah, he's in Fluminense now.
What was the point of him? What was the point of him? But that's what Eddie like. What do you reckon of the criticism of Eddie then? Do you reckon he knows what he's doing at his job?
See, he's shown moments where it looks as if he does know what he's doing, but then he'll just make these random signings. Players like Nuno Tavares, Marquinhos, Sambi Lokonga, players who don't really offer much, but then he'll bring in a player like Kai Havertz or Declan Rice, and everyone's hailing them as a genius.
Yeah, so it's a bit up and down then. It's not really the director of football really then to take you forward like on a regular then, because if everyone's not sure about him and he's doing these signings where one's really good and one's really, really shit, then what are we looking at here? For a big club like Arsenal, you probably want someone a bit more consistent. Like City have Tixi, for example, who works with Pep. Like Man United have got Dan Ashworth. We'll see how he does with that because he's got a good reputation. Like it's a bit. It's not even like you hired the best in class. You hired someone that knows the club, which is going to get the fans on side. Where is he actually going to back up in his reputation of actually signing players? Because you've had a lot of duds that, not even like duds that they've played and flopped, but they just haven't played, and there was no point of signing them. It's like Fabio Vieira's and all them, man. Like that's what doesn't make sense to me. But overall, like obviously your next games coming up, the schedule, obviously another thing to talk about as well. Champions League. What do you reckon of your fixtures for the Champions League new format?
Again, like many other football fans, it's going to take a while for us to get used to this new format. I saw the trailer they did before they did the draw, and Robbie Keane even said, "What was wrong with the old format? Why couldn't we have just kept it the same?"
Yeah, I agree.
But I understand that they maybe want to try and get more teams into the competition. They want to bring more eyes to the Champions League. Not that there wasn't already enough eyes on it, but I feel like the draw that we've got is favourable to us. I feel like I reckon we beat PSG.
Yeah, fair.
Simply because they've lost their main man. There's no pull at PSG anymore. No one's looking and going, "Oh, I really want to play for PSG." In fact, no one's really wanted to play for PSG for years.
Yeah. Going to PSG is a cesspit now. Like it's just like you're not going to thrive in that environment. I don't even think when I looked at Arsenal's fixtures, I thought forget PSG because I even said last year when you guys were in the Champions League, if you come up against Bayern or PSG, you beat them, but then you didn't beat Bayern. But I think you would have beaten PSG because Dortmund beat PSG. But I think Atalanta and Inter are the ones to look out for because Atalanta, they shocked everyone last year by their Europa League run. Like everyone wrote them off, and they're a very good team as well. So you even catch them on a bad day, you can beat them, but they will give you a very good game. Inter Milan, need I say any more about Inter? Like Inzaghi's got them playing.
Yeah,
they won the league last season. They're probably one of the favourites for the Champions League because after City and Real Madrid, they're probably up that third best.
Rightly so as well. They're a quality side.
Yeah,
like you said, Inzaghi's got them cooking.
Yeah, got some good players, man. Barella, he scored a great goal the other day as well. Scored a great goal, great volley against Atalanta. They've got DeMarco, left wing back, Dumfries, right wing back, Bastoni, Sora Martinez, who plays well with the front two. Like,
does Skriniar still play for Inter?
No. He was linked to Saudi from PSG. He left for the free like a year ago, 2 years ago, I think. So yeah, he left a couple of years ago. But they've got a Serb. I don't know whether they've got a Serbi still, but they've got a couple of good defenders. And I forgot who their goalkeeper is, but They've got a good team overall.
Very
What they
good
do as
team.
well, they make themselves hard to beat, and they'll still play football. And if
Yeah.
you want to try and break down that Inter Milan team, it's going to take a long time.
Good luck. Good luck.
Yeah. So that, like, you've got that. I need to bring up your fixtures, but you've got that with Man City and Tottenham in between all of that. So that's long. What do you reckon of that?
It's going to be tough. There's no denying it. It will definitely be a tough situation that we've got ourselves in. Not only have we got a Champions League game before the North, is it before or after? No, it's after the North London derby. We've got a Champions League game, and then on a Thursday night, and then we've got Man City on the Sunday.
Yeah, so what it says here is weird because there's too many games now, they've put the Champions League fixture. Obviously, they play on Thursdays as well. I'm pretty sure you're playing on a Thursday. It says here, and you're playing a Carabao Cup game on a Tuesday, which they don't care about the People's Cups, they just shove the fixtures in. So you're probably going to put a youngster team against Bolton, or for whatever. But they've also that Carabao Cup draw is bullshit because they just put any European team you basically face a lower league team. They've scheduled it like that, which is borderline corrupt. But
who is it? Chelsea have got Barrow, haven't they?
Yeah, Chelsea got Barrow. You got Bolton. Liverpool have got us. We have to go to fucking Anfield to try and get through to the cup. But you guys have got Tottenham. Wait, let me get the fixtures up. I've got it here. You guys have got Tottenham away, Bolton, Atalanta, and then Man City, all in one week. Now Bolton, you'll probably put a youth team. Obviously Tottenham coming back from international break is going to be interesting. I don't know who's going to play midfield because Marino is injured for 2 months as well. So going on to that, who do you think is going to play midfield in that with Marino injured in 2 months as well?
I feel like it would probably be the only 2 options that we've got, and that would be Jorginho and Partey.
Yeah, Jorginho fit, yeah?
I think so.
Yeah, okay, all right. Wait, let me go to lineups here. Right. Give me a sec. Let me go to lineups because my Mac is working up. But I think you guys had Jorginho on the bench. I could be wrong though. Yeah, you did have Jorginho on the bench. Okay. My Mac is working up on Safari, but you guys had Jorginho on the bench. So Jorginho, Partey, Odegaard midfield, you reckon good enough to beat Tottenham?
I think we'll struggle, but I think we'll just about get through because you never know what you're going to get with Tottenham. You might get a blinding performance against a very shit team, and then they come up against a tough team and they struggle.
Yeah, and also you guys are on a positive side. You guys have broken over the barrier of the past 2 years of going to Tottenham. It's an automatic loss, and usually when you watch a North London derby, the home team wins. Home team wins and stuff like that. Neither of the home teams won last year, but that's because Tottenham won a bit of a bounce. They took it to the Emirates and got a draw or whatever. But you guys went to their ground and won. And you guys went to Old Trafford and won as well. 2 grounds you don't win often, but you also did that at the business end of the season where you needed to keep pushing. So Tottenham don't look good now. We'll come to them later, but Tottenham don't look good right now.
No.
They got run over by Newcastle. I just think with that high line as well, if you play Sterling, little running behind and goal, I reckon that would be the game maybe start against his first more fast and stuff like that.
I feel like if they play the high line, that will be where the game is won or lost.
Yeah.
Because if they play that high line, I feel like our winners will be able to get at them.
Yeah, they're going to as well, because what's the biggest mismatch of that as well is their attack versus your defense, for example. Like, your defense is one of the best in the league. Their attack is so average. So average. Like we'll come on to it a bit later, but let's get on to... Actually, wait, before I get on to anything. Mikel Merino, 2 months injured. Thoughts?
It's disappointing because I was actually looking forward to seeing him play. Not only that, I actually felt only just realised that he actually played for Newcastle in the Premier League a few seasons ago. I had no recollection of that.
I remember it vaguely because he was on loan for 6 months, I think.
Yes, very, very disappointing to have one of your marquee signings get injured just before he's even kicked a ball.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, moving on. For West Ham, obviously we lost to Manchester City.
Fucking robot.
Yeah, Erling Haaland. I watched everything back today, all the highlights today, watch a match of the day, and all of that stuff. And I think for the first goal, obviously I maintained my point. Obviously coming back, that it was probably more Emerson's fault than Paquetá's fault, just because Emerson put him under pressure, and Paquetá was already stretching for the ball when he was receiving the ball, so it wasn't the greatest of passes. But Paquetá wasn't good in the game, but it wasn't. I'm not going to put that specific mistake on him. For the second goal, I thought it was like Emerson and Kilman miscommunicating and stuff, but you could just look at the second two, like the last two goals that City scored, and just think those were just good moves. Those were just good moves. Like they were just better on the day. Like the move they put together, they were just too quick, and then Haaland just smacked it in the roof of the net for that second goal. It's just like he just put all his anger into that one shot. Just like, oh fuck's sake! But that's typical Haaland. I think Haaland should probably get a bit more respect, because as much as people like to put down his deficiencies, his positives make up for way more than his negatives. Like for whatever he can't link play and all that, if you get him running in behind and shooting, he's the most clinical we've nearly ever seen, pretty much. Like in terms of the goal record speaks for itself.
Exactly.
Like, he's the most clinical we've seen.
I mean, we're only a month in and he's already run away with the golden boot. He's already on 7 goals.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. He's won the golden boot. They should just give it to him now, because no one's catching up. No one's catching up. If you look at now, Erling Haaland's on 7, and then you've got 4 people on 3 goals. That's Luis Diaz, Mohamed Salah, Brian Mbeumo, and Noni Madueke, who are all on 3, and all 4 of them are 4 behind Erling Haaland. He's going to win the golden boot, and this is I think it's already a second hat trick of the season.
Yeah,
I could be wrong, but I think it's his second. Yeah, his second hat trick of the season.
Back to back.
It's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
He got one against Ipswich and then one against you. It's just even his teammates are pissed off at the fact that he's getting hat tricks. I don't know who's writing on them match balls, but I've got a feeling it might be Grealish.
He's got to do something, because he went missing. He went missing again on the weekend. Aaron Wan-Bissaka again playing very well. Started off really well. Literally 3 games in a row where I'm like, okay, you've already proven me wrong with the signing, because when he came on against Crystal Palace, he obviously made that beautiful run, picked out the passes, and we scored the goal. Had a man of the match performance against Bournemouth in the cup, for example, as well, because he was playing left back as well, so it's out of position.
Yeah.
Big up to Jonathan as well. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, he was playing at left back against Bournemouth. He was man of the match, because Cresswell was originally meant to play, then Soufal came on, then Wan-Bissaka left back, Soufal right back, and then he still had a man of the match performance, and he played left back for a bit against City, played right back for most of the time, but at both full-back positions, the guy was superb. Like all he made Grealish do was just pass it sideways, because you can't get past him, which is all you can do, really. You've got to have a plan B against Wan-Bissaka.
He's got that pace. That pace is killer. I mean, I remember back when Crystal Palace played Man United, I think it was the 22-23 season. Wilfred Zaha was running through on goal. He looked back and saw it was Aaron and was like,
yeah,
he's the only one that can do the scoop tackle.
Yeah, that was his exact words as well. Those were his exact words in that interview. Like, Zaha literally, because he already knows him from playing with him. And funny enough, the fun fact for some people, that if you did watch the interview, all the West Ham fans did watch the interview with Wan-Bissaka against Bournemouth, it was actually current West Ham Academy coach Kevin Keane, that made Wan-Bissaka a right back at Crystal Palace.
Really?
Yep. And Kevin Keane's already knows West Ham inside out. He's not academy coach here, known for helping talents like George Murphy come through and stuff like that. So the guy's got a great reputation helping young players. And one of his big ones was helping Wan-Bissaka become a right back, because obviously Wan-Bissaka was a winger before. I think a lot of people know that, but people think it was Roy Hodgson, but it was the academy coach Kevin Keane that put him as a right back. But then Roy Hodgson needed someone. I think Martin Kelly got injured, and then Wan-Bissaka came in against Tottenham and made his debut, and then all she wrote from there.
Perfect replacement.
Oh, yeah.
If you're thinking about it, Martin Kelly, who?
Martin Kelly, bro. That guy was part of the Banter era of Liverpool.
Facts. I remember him playing in a game like 10, 15 years ago, I think it was him at right back, and you had John Flanagan at left back.
Oh, yeah. Caicedo could also do scoop tackle from behind, pause. Fuck's sake. But not like Wan-Bissaka. Not like Wan-Bissaka. But also, getting on to other West Ham news and going back from the game. Listen, we made some positives in the game. We did well, but obviously we need to just finish our chances. Ultimately, Fulcrook needs to come in. Tadibo needs to come in because Mavropanos giving the ball away and stuff. We know he's just at best a squad player. But speaking of centre backs, West Ham haven't finished their transfer business, and people are going to be like, "What? The transfer window's over? Free agents are a thing." West Ham United are exploring the free agent market to bring in a central defender. Joel Matip and John Egan are two players they are looking at, and talks are ongoing with their representatives as per ex-West Ham employee. Kurt Zouma may have again left the club on loan last week. Now, if people want my opinion on this overall, I'd say I'd take either of them as a fourth choice. Mainly Matip, though, because Matip is better than Mavropanos. The only thing with Matip is availability, injuries, and stuff like that. I'm sure the club are going to look into that to do with his injuries and see if he's worth taking them maybe on a year or two or whatever. But that would be great depth for me. Obviously, the club were willing to trust Caelan Casey as the fourth choice centre back through the academy, or Edson Alvarez to fill in. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm thinking as well, Jonathan. The difference from Matip to Egan is outrageous. The difference is, though, if Matip comes in, he's going to be third choice because he's better than Mavropanos. If Egan's going to come in, he's going to be fourth choice, and he'd only play if we have an injury crisis or as a cup game. That's my only thing with Johnny Egan is Johnny Egan's not was one of the less terrible Sheffield United players, but he was being looked at 4 years ago. I wouldn't go for someone that would be deemed as good 4 years ago. He was okay, but also I'm thinking about in a high line as well. I think Matip knows more how to play in a high line than John Egan does. Has more awareness there. It's been played under a Jurgen Klopp's high line, so he's got way more defensive awareness than Mavropanos. He's actually technically he's better than Kilman, but right now you'd have a Kilman to Debo partnership because that's the present and that's the future. So you want to get them two used to each other and then have Matip in when he comes in. So we'll see if either one of them can be signed over the next few days, because obviously free agent market you can still sign whoever you want. But also, we let Kurt Zouma go on loan to the Saudi League, and I think that's an option to buy there. We might be getting money for that as well. But Naya Faged has left the club on a straight loan because we needed to get the wages off the book. So thank God he's left. Thank God Naya Faged is gone, because he was shocking player for me. No physicality in your centre back, which doesn't make any sense to me. But we'll see if we can get the Joel Matip thing over the line. But let's get into some of the main games of the weekend. Let's start with yesterday's game. One of yesterday's games. Manchester United 0, Liverpool 3. Alfie, take me through your thoughts on that game. Well, let's turn on the lights.
United were played off the park. Simple as that. I don't think there's any other way that you can put that. Liverpool blew them away. I feel like one of the key points of the game was the fact that Ten Hag brought off Casemiro at half-time for a 20-year-old. Carragher saying his iconic line over Sky Sports again: "Leave the football before the football leaves you."
Yep.
You knew going into the game that it was going to be a Liverpool win, but you didn't realise how dominant. I don't think anyone realised how dominant Liverpool were going to be.
Oh yeah, for sure. That was exactly my thoughts. I thought going into it that Man United would lose, but I didn't think it'd be like that. Only because Man United are terrible, don't get me wrong, but on these games they turn up now and then. And they're now and then players, they're moments players, all of them, pretty much, apart from Mainu, where their quality doesn't always shine through. Quality, in quotation marks, like the Bruno Fernandes is on moments type players. The Marcus Rashford's, how many times are we going to have to discuss Marcus Rashford? Garnacho, by the way, another stinker. Another stinker as a starter. I'm watching closely that these Man United fans love overrating these players, but Garnacho ain't that good.
I do definitely think that that taking Garnacho off for Amad Diallo was the wrong decision. I feel like if you're going to take anyone off, it should have been Rashford. Again, poor performance from him. United fans constantly saying, "Oh, it's going to be the season where Rashford cooks again." I don't think he's got gas.
No, he hasn't. If this is 2024, I will remind people every week because he's going to put a stinker in most weeks. Rashford broke through in the 15-16 season. It's 2024. Give it a rest because Pogba didn't get this many chances. Martial didn't get this many chances. Now people are going to be like, but Rashford scored 10 goals 2 years ago or whatever it is, or 15 goals 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago because he does this every 2 years, every now and then. He's not a consistent player. So keep the same energy just because he's some academy kid. Don't get me wrong, bro. Rashford did create 2 big chances. But you know why he put those crosses in? Because he couldn't take on his man. So Xerxes should have finished those chances, don't get me wrong. And those were great crosses by Rashford. And I think, even though they booed the Garnacho sub, and yeah, even you said Rashford should have come off even then, but Garnacho wasn't any better. Amad Diallo just needed to come on anyway. Amad Diallo needed to start. I don't know why he was benched. Out of all the people to bench, don't bench Amad Diallo out of all the wingers.
No.
Because he wasn't great against Brighton, but he was better than the rest. He was
And
good
if you
against Fulham.
if you look at last season as well, Amad Diallo scored the winner in the FA Cup against Liverpool.
Exactly.
All the more reason to start him. He's got previous against Liverpool.
Yeah. Xerxes should have scored 2 goals yesterday. It was his first start as a Man United player. So it's obviously going to take time and stuff like that. His first start in the Premier League as well. But
that just baffles me. That just baffles me. Why has it taken Ten Hag 3 games to start 2 of his big signings?
Yeah.
I mean, he spent 40 odd million on De Ligt. He spent 40 odd million on De Ligt and hasn't started him till game 3. And like you just said, he took him off as well.
He's spamming substitutions because this guy just makes subs for the sake of it.
He's got quick sub on the
bench. Yeah. Because he doesn't have that much on the bench anyway. He's just made centre back changes for no reason. When did Maguire need? Why would Maguire need to come on for De Ligt? What was he going to change the game for? There was no point of bringing Maguire on. You leave Maguire on the bench. It's like he's trying to appease everyone, and he's a dead man walking because he's lashing out at the press. He's trying to cover up for his own mistakes. And Arnie Slot broke down in his interview how Man United played and how he exposed them. He broke that down in his interview tactically. What manager does that? Last time that happened, actually, it was against Man United. Bruno Lage said the same thing about how Man United played under Ranić. But the difference is with Ranić, he was an interim. And he didn't have any control. All he was there for was, this is what's wrong with the club. And I'm going to tell you what's wrong with the club. Whether you listen to me or not, it's your decision. Because he's naturally a director of football and a manager. But Ranić was a good manager. But at Man United, he said this club needed open heart surgery. We're 3 years later nearly, and this club hasn't done anything to do with open heart surgery. We'll see how Ineos do with the next few windows. But listen, those new signings, and even with Agate coming in, Agate's not going to solve them problems that happened yesterday where the ball got turned over by Mainu and Casemiro, because that's a system issue as well. Casemiro is done, and the football, you should have left the football. But it also happened to Kobe Mainu as well. So that's a system issue. You keep getting pressed in that area, and you still pass through those areas where the fullbacks are going so high up when the midfielders have the ball. But when the attackers have the ball, the fullbacks aren't there. So what are the fullbacks doing? What is the coaching? Who is coaching this team? Man United does shit. Proper shit. They're just shit. Nothing's changed. They're still Man United. Liverpool, however, they started really well. 3 out of 3. 9 points.
No goals conceded.
No goals conceded as well. Then they faced Ipswich, Man United, and Brentford. That was the easiest game they played. Yesterday was the easiest game they played as well.
Ipswich put up more of a fight than Man United.
Facts.
At least it took Ipswich till minute, 60, 65 to concede a goal?
Yeah. Yeah, facts. And Luis Diaz goals. That goal, the second one, was mad because he was barely facing the goal. Salah put the ball in, Diaz bang. Onana, by the way, he why does he dive in the air all the time where some of the shots are on the ground? He dives in the air all the time. He's
he thinks he's on a constant highlight reel.
Mm. I remember someone said he plays like he's got compilation music in the background. And you're a goalkeeper and you play like that. That's terrible. Only wingers are meant to play like that. Maybe he should leave his career. Is going to get destroyed at United. I said this last year as well. Like I said, this guy's their best player. He's their best player on the ball. And then and then I'm just like, if he stays there and gets surrounded by all these players that have failed at Man United, he's going to join them. They destroy careers. Mainu is going to end up like that as well if he's not careful. But this manager, he shouldn't last till Christmas. He should have been sacked anyway, even with the FA Cup. They finished 8th. You're a Man United manager and you finished 8th. That's not like after that. I remember that Crystal Palace game when they lost 4-0. He should have been gone after that. That was the worst game. That's one of the worst times I've seen Man United perform in general. They got destroyed that game. You should have been let go after that. I don't get it. Like, when do you think Ten Hag lasts till?
I don't think he lasts past Christmas. If he manages to get to December 25th and he's still in the job, I will be amazed. Because at some point, Jim Ratcliffe's going to have to pull the plug. If he wants what's best for Man United, he's going to have to pull the plug on this because it's year 3. He spent hundreds of millions of pounds on players that haven't worked. He's still trying to play with a system that doesn't work. And they're not going forwards. They're not going backwards. They're just stagnating.
Oh yeah.
And as a club that we used to watch when we started watching the Premier League football, this club was winning the league title year in, year out. What has happened to Man United?
Everything has happened to them. Everything. And like it's so funny. Like a documentary needs to be made on like the post-Fergie era of Man United. Like it's just so interesting to see how shit they've been.
I'd love to see an All or Nothing series done on them.
Oh yeah, like honestly,
that'd be interesting watching.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I don't get them. I don't get them half the time. But did you see Eric Ten Hag's comments about being the second successful manager after Pep? Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I saw that.
What's he smoking?
So you see the quotes?
Yeah, what's he smoking?
Bro, salmonella. Like he's smoking fish, He's from the Netherlands. They smoke down there a lot. Like in general, yeah, you cannot finish 8th and then brag about how many trophies you won as a Man United fan since Pep has been here.
I'm not being funny. You're a Manchester United manager and you're bragging about winning, with all due respect, the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. We're talking about Manchester United here. We're not talking about Leicester City or Wigan Athletic. We're talking about Manchester United. This is a club that's won the Premier League the most times. This is a club that's won the Champions League 3 times.
And you're bragging about coming second. Like, in terms of trophies. What Man United manager does that? What Man United manager is like, oh, but after Pep, I've won the most trophies. But you haven't won the most trophies. Because you're not Pep. So why are you bragging about second? What are you bragging about? Like, what are you really, like, look at yourself, like, genuinely. Unless you're first, you shouldn't be bragging about that shit when you're comparing yourself to other people. And you wouldn't be like, look what I've done for the club and all that. You still don't have a leg to stand on, but it would make more sense for then you to compare yourself to someone who's won trophies year in, year out at their club and has won the most trophies since he's been in the Premier League out of all the managers that have been there. And the only reason why he's second is because Klopp left. So
I think even though Klopp left, you should put Klopp in second in that situation.
Yeah, but that's the point. Even if it's just trophies, like, because if we're talking just best managers in the league, he's nowhere near. He's not even top 10. He's not even top
15.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's pushing top. Like at best, you're 15th. At best, I'd rather McKenna over you, Kieran McKenna from Ipswich. I'd rather have Enzo Maresca from Chelsea. I'd rather have fucking Steve Cooper as more of an identity Like, Russell Martin has more of an identity from Southampton than you do at Man United. Like, Lopetegui is a better manager. Like, we have a better manager than Man United. Newcastle have a better manager than Man United. Like,
Spurs.
the Spurs have the better manager than Man United. Chelsea, Villa, Arsenal, Man City, of course. Like, it's obvious. You should not be comparing yourself to anyone. Compare yourself to Avram Grant or Frank de Boer. You know, them kind of managers there. You're Frank
Daniel
de Boer,
Farke.
Daniel Farke, Steve Bruce,
Paulo Di Canio.
Paulo Di Canio. Big up Paulo. But yeah, those
Absolute
kind of
nutter.
managers. Yeah. I shouldn't be bigging up Paulo after what I saw today, but
Well, what happened? What's happened?
Him and Rafael Leao got into it a bit. He basically cussed out Rafael Leao for his character as a commentator, and then Rafael Leao posted a picture of Di Canio doing the Nazi salute.
Oh wow!
Because obviously he's quite known, I think, fascist. I don't know whether that's the right word, but it's one of them words.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, Mikel Arteta as well. He's better than Ten Hag. Like, they're all better than Ten Hag. Like, I'm trying to think who is worse than Ten Hag in the league right now. I'd argue he's 20th. I'd argue he's the worst manager in the league. But let me go through the league. Let me go through the league table. Premier League app. Let me look at my table. Let me look at the league table. Okay. You're above Hertzler from Brighton because we don't know what the fuck he's gonna do. He's 31. We don't know what he's gonna do. You're above him. You're not above Thomas Frank. You're not above Emery. You're not above Iriola. You're not above Nuno, Postecoglou, Maresca,
Gary O'Neill.
Marco Silva. No,
Gary
he's better than Gary
O'Neill.
O'Neill. I think he's better than Gary O'Neill.
No, I think Gary O'Neill beats him.
And Gary O'Neill's done fuck all. And Gary O'Neill hasn't even got a win. But at least I know Russell Martin and Sean Dyche don't have a win, but they've done more at least.
Exactly.
In their managerial career. Sean Dyche is better than Ten Hag, Jonathan. But speaking of Sean Dyche, one of the maddest games of the weekend was Everton 2, Bournemouth 3. Alfie, I think Bournemouth scored 3 goals in 5 minutes or some shit like that, bro.
Yeah.
Like, they were 2-0 up until a very long time, bro.
You're sat there.
When you saw that?
You're sat there thinking it's 5 minutes to go. Everton are 2-0 up. Surely you've got to see this out. And then all of a sudden you check the live score app or whatever app you use to check the scores, and you see full time Bournemouth have come back on 1-3-2. Fair play to Iriola because his system is working. And he's shown that, yes, it may be a big loss in losing Solanke, but he's not going to let it define what happens to Bournemouth this season.
No, he's not. And I've just looked at the scores, looked at like who scored at what time. So they took the lead, 2-0 lead in the 50th minute and the 57th minute, and they were 2-0 up until the 87th minute where Semenyo scored. Then in the 92nd minute, Lewis Cook scored, and then in the 96th minute, Sinistera scored. Like, so in 9 minutes, they made a comeback of 3 goals to win a game. That's one of the best comebacks in Premier League history. But also, it's one of the biggest crumblings in Premier League history from Everton.
Yeah.
And they have conceded 10 goals in 3 games. They've lost 3. They're 0 points. Where do they go from here?
Where can they go? I mean, I'm not being funny. You're celebrating the fact that this is your last season at Goodison Park, and you're putting in some of your most shocking performances at that stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Played off the park against Brighton, bottling a 2-0 lead against Bournemouth.
It's ridiculous.
It just makes no sense.
But that was that one. Newcastle beat Tottenham yesterday.
Put a smile on my face.
Yeah.
I always smile when Spurs lose.
Oh, of course, everyone does. And Chelsea, Arsenal, West Ham fans, all of us are there. All of us will be there. But that game was weird. That game was like back and forth. And then Newcastle took the lead. Tottenham came out in the second half, started well, got a goal, a very lucky goal. Don't know what Dan Burn was doing. and then for all that dominance of possession, one turnover, one ball from Joel Linton, and they're through, and then they score one ball. If that all it takes to break you down, it's not great. It's not exactly great.
Whoops.
Fuck it up. It's not great. I think they should Dyche and hire Moyes. I mean, in that area of the table, you never know what Moyes can do, you know. But
I feel like if David Moyes was to go back now to Everton and they get relegated, it'd dampen the legacy that Moyes has got with the club.
Maybe. Like, the thing is as well, the problem is with like football fans in general is like they want the sentiment. They want someone that knows the club, for example, for some reason, like instead of having the best in class in each position. My problem with that is that, especially with like Everton, you're going back to 2011 pretty much. That's what you're going back to. For some reason, there's 23 people in here straight away. Big up to everyone that's in here. Like the video and subscribe to Alfie in the title. Big up to everyone that's just jumped in. I don't know where that's come from. But what's it called? With Moyes, they want the best in class.
Yeah.
But that's going backwards, maybe. Or maybe that's someone to steer the ship. I don't know. But for me, it's not great. That's not great. That's not a great look.
I don't even think it's a case of someone to steer the ship. I think it's a case of someone to keep the ship afloat.
Yeah. Because if you look at
it can only get worse from here.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Like, fucking hell. If Moyes comes in, that'll be really funny from a West Ham perspective, because it's just like we had all this "be careful what you wish for" nonsense about be careful what you wish for about sacking Moyes, and then instantly, if Dyche gets sacked, he goes straight back to Everton, and you can see that it's slightly destined as well for that to happen as well in terms of the whole situation, because who else is going to really get hired if what's it called? If Dyche gets sacked. Oh, big up. Was this the Sarcasm City raid? Oh, big up to Flawless and Sarcasm City TV, man. Thank you for the raid. That's why we've got 24 people in it. I was very confused. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to Alfie in the title as well. So big up to everyone. Thank you very much.
Big up.
But yeah, like Everton in the mud right now. Like 3 losses, 10 goals conceded. Tottenham lost against Newcastle, and going back, Fulham. I mean, Ipswich got their first point in the Premier League. Their first time. They obviously lost to Liverpool. Had a really hard couple of fixtures against Liverpool and Manchester City, but they got their first point against Fulham. And I watched the first half, from what I can see, and they gave it a go. Like, their football, they're really stamping onto things. And listen, their point against Fulham, and after losing against Liverpool and Manchester City, isn't the worst thing in the world, is it?
I feel like the fact that they've got those 2 big games out of the way, I feel like that favours them.
Yeah. Because you want to play the big teams first, don't you?
Your first 2 games against 2 of the teams that were involved in the title race last season, 2 very, very strong teams. Yes, you come out on the losing side, but I'm sure any Ipswich fan will be looking at that fixture list and going, I'm glad we've got those 2 out of the way. Now we can focus on everyone else.
Oh, yeah. Like, and that's a big up to Liam Delap as well. We were like, it wasn't that long ago when his dad was playing, Rory Delap, and he hit that goal, by the way. That goal. It's a beautiful goal, man. I know Leno got a hand to it, but still, like, you just tried to just smacked it from there. I didn't, like, one of my many doubts with Ipswich's signings was I didn't know if Liam Delap was ready to make the step up yet. And if he keeps going like that and he keeps using that confidence from shooting the ball from outside the box from there, then you can really step up and put yourself on the map straight away as your first season in the Premier League as well.
I feel like you can look at Ipswich's signings at 2 ways. You can look at them and say maybe they've done a bit too much and maybe they've been a bit overzealous in terms of who they've bought. But on the other hand, you can look at it and say, well, if they do go down, they've got a brilliant shot at coming back up again because they've bought a lot of decent players in. Obviously, the likes of Liam Delap.
Yeah, Murray Hutchinson.
Murray Hutchinson as well, yeah.
Yeah, he played well from what I saw in that game. They made some smart signings as well. Ogbene from Luton, who showed some glimpses last season. Jack Clark from Sunderland, who I've been saying for a few years because I'm someone who watches the championship quite a bit to see who's next on the come up, and a lot of the players that made waves in the championship last season have actually made the step up. So the likes of Jack Clark, the likes of Schmodix, the likes of Somerville, etc. Jonathan Rowe has gone to Marseille as well, especially the attackers. Like Jacob Greaves is someone that Ipswich signed as well. The way Ipswich have prepared themselves as well, like a lot of these signings could leave if they did get relegated, for example. But let's say that they do get relegated. A lot of those players may not get moves and may just stick it out at Ipswich because they feel like they can get back to be promoted. And it's a good strategy to have as well. If you're going to sign all these players, all these permanent signings, and you get relegated, you're kind of prepared for the championship, and you're also prepared to stay up again in the Premier League, where players can get more Premier League experience, or players can feel like, okay, I've been relegated to the championship now. I believe in this project enough under Kieran McKenna to be like, okay, we could get promoted again. And then you can kick on from there, which is what Luton did as well. If you look at Luton's side, they didn't really change much about their squad. Like, they didn't really make many signings. And even the people that left, only Ogbene in that starting 11 left. Tida Mengi was linked to a move, he stayed. Alfie Doherty was linked to a move, he stayed. Adebayo and Morris are still there. They haven't started well in the championship. However, they've kept their players. That's the point. But with Ipswich as well, they can really take it to teams. They're going to surprise a lot of teams. I said that Ipswich were going to stay up. And listen, a team that I may be wrong about, who did lose on the weekend, was Southampton. They are also on 0 points. They lost to Newcastle with 10 men. They lost to Nottingham Forest last week. They've now lost to Brentford away from home. And a lot of the goals were just them giving away the ball. I think with Brentford, Southampton, especially with Brentford coming to town, Brentford either stay in their block, very hard to break down and stuff like that, or they give you that high aggressive press that they suffocate you and you cannot get out of and you cannot play through. So when you're playing up against Brentford, you got to be a bit smarter than that. And even with other teams in the Premier League, like teams like Villa are going to press you, teams like Newcastle are going to press you, Arsenal, Man City, and Liverpool are always going to press you. And if you want to play out from the back, you've got to have the players to play out from the back. The problem I have with them is that they don't have the centre backs that are naturally good at defending and that can play out from the back comfortably. Taylor Harwood-Bellis is someone they had last season on loan that made that permanent. Good signing from Man City's academy. But they've also got Jan Bednarek, who was in their previous relegation when they got relegated last time. He was there, and he was one of the big reasons why they got relegated. A lot of mediocre defenders. Like Jack Stevens wasn't there, but Jack Stevens is there now, and he's not the worst defender in the world. But they tried changing formation again this season to a 5-3-2, and it hasn't worked out so far. But they've got the squad. They just need to play the right players.
Yeah.
And they could shock a few teams. It's got harder now for them to survive because teams like Brentford are still carrying on without Ivan Toney and with Ivan Toney. They've got Brian Mbeumo. He scored 3 goals already this season. Wieso has stepped up as well. They've lost Mopai as a striker option because he was on loan, and Toney as a striker option. He's gone to Saudi, so they're just playing more free-flowing with the attackers that they have. Nottingham Forest have made a lot of signings. They're looking to stay up again. The only one you're really looking at, okay, in my opinion, they're still definitely going to go down is Leicester for me. I think Leicester are definitely going to go down. I think they've got 1 point. They've got 1 point from 3 games. Listen, they had a couple of decisions going against them in the game, but they also made so many mistakes in the highlights against Aston Villa from what I watched. And listen, it was a great header from John Duran. I know a lot of people have been on to me just because we were linked with John Duran, and they were like, we should have got Duran, but they wanted 40 million. They wanted 40 million. And, like, the club were willing to pay for that. It is what it is, man.
See, that's what doesn't make sense to me. A lot of Aston Villa fans were condemning John Duran for chucking up the hammer sign and looking like he was going to West Ham. And now he's turned up for the first 3 games of the season. I think he's got, 2 in 3?
Yeah, 2 and 3, yeah.
And now Villa fans are calling for John Duran to start over Watkins.
Yeah, like, obviously, a big up to the Villa fan that watches my channel. He was talking about whether Duran could start over Watkins or not. Obviously, Watkins missed a few chances as well. Big up to Omar, bro. Hope you're doing well. Subscribe to Omar if you haven't already as well. But yeah, Duran's going to push Watkins now. So, like, even if people want Duran now, it's going to be really interesting to see if he stays at the club, because originally the reason why he was going to get sold was because of the relationship he has with Unai Emery. But if he keeps stepping up at this rate, for example, then it's going to be harder for Duran to even leave, for example. They're going to charge for more. Also, it depends if Duran still wants to stay or not. And also, what's it called? It depends whether they keep him in their first choice or whether the relationship is still there.
It's going to be difficult for if he continues to perform the way he has done. I feel like it will be quite difficult for Emery not to pick him.
Yeah,
because he's showing a willingness that he's still here to fight for the club. He's still putting the ball in the back of the net for Aston Villa. He's prepared to do what he's being paid to do.
Facts. And listen, big up to Omar again. He's 4 away from 1K. So if you're not subscribed to Omar by now, get him to 1K. Big up to Omar as always. And yeah. Okay.
Make that 3 away. I'll sub to you as well, Omar.
All right, guys, get him to 1K as soon as possible. Other games that happened was Chelsea Crystal Palace was 1-1. Obviously, after Chelsea beating Wolves, Crystal Palace held them to a draw. I think it was a lot more of Chelsea missing chances than it was Crystal Palace playing well. I think Crystal Palace have only got 1 point from 3 games so far, so it's going to be interesting to see if they can capitalise on any future results that they may have. I don't know what their fixtures are coming up, but it's not the greatest of starts from them. It's not even like they've had the hardest of fixtures either, because I know we're meant to be a hard fixture to some people, but they've been capable of beating us in the past. They had Brentford away, and Brentford have started well, but we'll see if Crystal Palace can kick on from there. But a draw with Chelsea isn't terrible, but they haven't won yet. And from a Chelsea perspective, you don't really panic right now. You've got 4 points. Here's where it is. We've got Bournemouth away next. Okay, Bournemouth away is going to be tough, but I reckon you get over the line with that, because even though Bournemouth did have that amazing comeback, Bournemouth were outplayed for most of that game. They just had the spirit to come back, and Everton did kind of collapse, and they looked exhausted after that. So that will be a tough away day, don't get me wrong, but that's a good test for you. But overall, guys, that will be it. That is pretty much the Premier League games rounded up, people. So thank you to everyone that's watching.
I did just want to say as well, a quick honourable mention. I know we're focusing on the Premier League, but I have to mention that Andy Weimann goal for Blackburn against Burnley in the East Lancashire Derby in the Championship. What a finish!
Yeah, great goal. He only scores great goals. Like every time I see Andy Weimann highlight since he was at Villa, he's just been scoring great goals. And yes, I was about to come to that, Jonathan. Yeah, I will be on Shameless on Carefree Lewis's channel at 8 p.m. as well, people. So get over to Lewis's channel. I'm going to link it in the chat because I don't know how to redirect on StreamYard as of yet. I will look up how to in the future. But I'm going to put a link in the chat. Very much, guys, at 8 p.m. we'll be streaming live as well on Carefree Lewis's channel, obviously, to round up the Premier League games as well. So click the live in the chat over here, and it'll take you straight there. So big up to everyone. And make sure to subscribe to Alfie's channel. Alfie does YouTube as well on Arsenal, match reactions, match reviews. Let them know what you got coming up, Alfie.
Well, not much at the moment because obviously it's the international break. But as soon as the international break's over, we'll have the match review and preview for the North London derby. A lot of excitement going into that game. There always is, whether you're an Arsenal fan or whether you're a Spurs fan. And it's the day before my 22nd birthday, so I really hope we come away with a good result.
Yeah. Okay. Listen, everyone, I'm trying to get to 1K before the end of the year. Well, not even before the end of the year, just as soon as possible. If we hit 1K before the end of the year, I'll be scintillating. But listen, big up to everyone. Subscribe if you're new, like the video. Social medias are in the description if you want to follow me. And